So today we watched a film about the security in an old folks' home.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was The Old Guard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's so shit.
Can you think of anything else?
Old Guard!
The Old Guard.
Hello again, and welcome back to the DNDND podcast. My name, as always, is Dan, and I'm here with my co-host, Spud.
I have returned from beyond.
Indeed you have.
Like death.
Oh, you've died in the past week?
Yeah, I got better.
Oh, well done.
Thank you.
That's quite topical in a sense, really, isn't it?
I know, what are the chances?
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's almost like it's a topical joke, but never mind.
Nah, probably not. So today we watched the 2020 Netflix film, The Old Guard, by director Gina Prince-Bythewood. It was
It
was an interesting one.
It was pretty good.
I quite enjoyed it. We're going to get into that in a minute. I've got some things to talk to you about before we get into that. Almost like we're a better podcast than we usually are. We've got things to discuss.
This podcast is sponsored by me.
Is it?
I made this.
Oh, are you paying me for it?
Yeah, as long as you pay me.
No, yeah, it's kind of repetitive that way, isn't it?
Fair enough. Let's just forget it all.
Yeah, we'll just call it quits. Starting off with, though, were you aware
Yes.
that the Avatar creators quit
Yes.
the Netflix live-action remake?
Yes, I was.
Oh, well, there you go. I thought that would be news to you, but it didn't work.
No, I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah, it's quite sad.
I know. I was kind of expecting good things from that.
So was I, weirdly enough. We did talk about covering it as well.
Yeah, but if it ain't working, it ain't working.
That's true. I mean, everyone knows the Shyamalan one was a bit of a mess.
Oh, it was great. It was
Interesting.
airbending. Okay, it was key. It was Goku, main character.
Yeah, Goku from Avatar, the one with the blue
exactly.
arrow.
Yeah,
Blue
that's
arrow,
right.
and he's got the straw hat on.
Yeah.
And he's got that one punch.
Yeah, he's I think he's like a soul eater or something. Devil hunter.
No,
Something
you're
like
thinking of Death Note.
Isn't that something that people who can't hear
A Death Note?
Yeah. The note that you can't hear. The Death Note.
Jesus. But I thought it was a bit of a sad story. I just wanted to bring it up. I don't really think they're going to be able to adapt Last Airbender ever into a live-action one and work.
It's a 3-season show.
Yeah.
And it's very, it uses animation to do interesting things.
I think
you can't really do in live action.
Arguably, if it's not broke, don't try and fix it.
Yeah.
It's still really good. It's just come onto Netflix. You've got a lot of new fans for it, and it is still it's still bloody amazing. I don't see the point.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Whatever.
Move on to better things, you know. Yeah, so in other news as well, Scott Christian Sava, whichever way you want to pronounce it.
Sava.
Sava's nice.
Sorry if it's not your name, but whatever.
That's true. We're uneducated British gentlemen. We know nothing.
Indeed.
But we had a little rapport on Twitter.
Indeed.
That is the director of Animal Crackers. Yeah. The film we covered last week, the 2020 Netflix film, had a little rapport. He answered a few questions for us. Yeah. Really nice interaction.
It was biggest interaction we've ever had.
It literally is,
Don't know why he thought of us, but thanks.
True. He told us it was his first directed film.
Indeed.
And
well done to him.
Yeah, it was sick, to be fair. Good. Yeah, I complimented him on Twitter.
Indeed you did.
We had a little back and forth. He complimented us.
Yeah,
lovely.
You kissed his ass.
Oh, yeah, it was a good film. Of course I would.
It was pretty good.
I mean, if we watched a terrible one, when we get onto Trolls World Tour, if the director contacts us, I'm not playing nice.
Yeah.
I'm not having fun with that.
Yeah, you will.
No, I will not.
Love it.
We get to Trolls World Tour. If the guy messages me and is like, listen to the podcast, I'll be like, fuck off. Jesus.
We'll see.
Indeed we will. What are we drinking today, Spud?
Oh shit, you're right. An apple pie martini?
Apple pie martini. Specifically chosen by myself.
Yeah.
Gifted
not
by my
made
parents.
by me.
That's true. This time
isn't a proper one. This was store bought.
It was Marks and Spencer's Christmas exclusive.
Really?
Yeah. So we're a few months out, but
yeah,
tasted very nice, I would say.
I liked it.
Little bit of a apple pie martini on the rocks.
Yeah.
Doesn't go amiss.
Yeah, it's good to do.
Yeah. You're also drinking a Tring Brewery pint there as well?
Indeed. Raven King IPA.
Raven King. There's a new one?
Yeah, seasonal, I think.
Oh,
so
cool.
They support local businesses, man.
Oh yeah,
It's good
Tring
for you.
Brewery as well. Great place.
Top place. Not
Quality
sponsored, but
Oh, I wish it was.
that'd be great.
I would take a Tring Brewery pint any day.
Always.
The Old Guard.
The Old Guard.
That's what we're covering today. What do you know about the Old Guard?
Not a lot, actually. Before you told me about it, I didn't know it existed.
So I found it from, weirdly enough, another YouTube channel that was covering it. Interested me from there. And I know it got a little bit of coverage beforehand, but originally I believe it was a graphic novel.
Mm-hmm. Looks like it.
So you can kind of cut it a bit of slack in terms of a film adaptation, I suppose.
Yeah, it's never going to be one-to-one, so...
Yeah, that's true. And then you would hope maybe some of it's covered, some of the minor details are covered in the graphic novel rather than the ones that are left out of the film.
Yeah, all the silly little questions of how does it work and what can they do and how old are certain people.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not really necessary, they're just sort of interesting.
I feel like it's a lot more of a comic book-y thing to do as well.
Yeah.
Like, you do have the time and the space to kind of throw in these other details, whereas in a film, you want to be snappy, you want to be attention-grabbing, so you can kind of miss a few things out, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like, focus on making a good film first rather than... Well, no, I was going to say rather than be faithful to the adaptation, but as long as you can stay mostly faithful and make a good film out of it, then who's to complain, essentially?
Yeah. I mean, we know nothing about the original, so...
Oh, not a single clue.
No idea. I'm trying to look it up now.
Would you be interested in reading it?
After seeing this, yeah.
Yeah. I think same. I might seek it out after this because it's a very interesting concept.
Yeah.
One that's definitely been done before.
I mean, yeah. Immortality's
Been done to
ironically
death.
very old hat.
It's been done to death.
Indeed.
Haha, clap, clap. But it's a new take on it, essentially. And it's more of a human take, in a sense.
Yeah, it's a lot less fighting supervillains from space and more fighting some bastard in a suit.
Fighting your own loneliness was the worst of it,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Just living thousands and hundreds of years of just seeing everyone around you die and...
It was a bit brutal.
Especially some of the things that happened to them.
Oh,
Very
God.
brutal.
God, yeah. Would you like to give me a little plot breakdown?
Fair enough. So there are these 4 basically immortal warriors all throughout history who just go around doing what they think is right. And then one day they get discovered by a big farmer who, I don't know what agriculture has to do with this, but never mind. And so they gain a new member, Niall Freeman? Niall Freeman, who is an American Marine who just so happens to discover her immortality about the same time as they become discovered by someone. And so they go on this long journey to escape, then to reclaim some of their old pals, and then eventually to take down the big bad.
Yeah. Very concise.
I'll do my best.
It's, from its, brief description and from... I saw one trailer of it beforehand, before it came out, but it didn't grab me instantly, you know?
Yeah.
And, from reading the descriptions and that, it does seem very typical sci-fi, Netflixy sci-fi.
Yeah, the sort of almost entirely, down to earth, except for 1 or 2 fantastical elements that they just sort of run with.
Yeah, almost like, I don't know, what's a quick comparison? Maybe like Brightburn or something.
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of like, you've got your normal Earth and there's one thing that's a bit twisted of it.
Yeah.
And you carry on as normal. Which can work, and sometimes it can't.
In this, I think it does.
I think it works really well. There's a good amount of story. A good amount of story without it being boring and without it dragging on.
Yeah.
And it's 2 hours? 2 hours and a bit?
2 hours and a bit.
And it didn't feel that long.
Definitely not.
We had a break halfway through.
About halfway, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit after.
And it kind of breezed on past that.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
It was very good.
Yeah. Cast list?
Yes, give me a second.
Yeah. Do you want to shoot me a few names across?
Fair enough.
Obviously, you've got
This will show me.
Andy, the main character, who has a way cooler name than that, but she shortens it.
Indeed. She is, Charlize Theron,
Indeed, it is.
So
Atomic Blonde Zone.
indeed, she's been
And also
in just
better films.
sort of everything.
Yeah,
Atomic
I
Blonde's
mean,
pretty good.
I liked
I
it.
liked it. Yeah.
Have you seen Snow White and the Huntsman?
Nope.
She's alright in that.
Is she?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
That's the gold standard. I mean,
Yeah.
Charlize Theron's in so much.
Yeah. If you need a badass lady to do some cool shit,
Easily.
she's pretty much
Without a doubt.
she is the gold standard.
I would definitely agree. So the other members of the team, the other members of the old guard.
Do you remember any of their names?
I think I've got them all, weirdly enough.
Really?
You've got the blonde man whose name is Booker.
Booker, played by Matthias Schoenaerts.
Interesting pronunciation as well.
I don't think that's how it is. I think he's Belgium.
Okay.
So
It's always
almost definitely wrong.
It's always a bad idea for us to cover films with the non-English named people because we are so white in English, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but if we did just cover perfectly white people films,
Oh, they would be terrible.
we're already furries, bronies, masochists, communists. We don't need to pigeonhole ourselves anymore.
That's very true.
I think we should,
Bite the bullet, try and pronounce the names.
yeah. Or just not hang out with white supremacists, or let's just leave that to the side.
I'm happy to say I already don't.
That's a good point. I'm related to one, but I don't like her.
Oh no, that's a story for another episode.
Is it? She'll be dead soon. Doesn't matter.
Unlike members of the old guard.
Members of the old guard, not dead soon.
Not dead soon. Not dead,
Dead
ever.
never.
Maybe.
Do you remember any of the others?
You've got Joe.
Joe.
Joe was the curly-haired fella.
Indeed. Marwan Kenzari.
Okay. And his life partner, not boyfriend.
Not boyfriend. His
That's a film reference.
Indeed.
Nikki.
Luca Marinelli.
He was cool.
Who's Italian.
Nice.
So a lot of just European.
European, yeah.
And
then obviously you've got Niall Freeman.
Indeed, the new member of the group.
She is
Kiki Lane.
Kiki Lane. I recognise the name, but I don't know what she's in. Weirdly enough.
What was that? If Bale Street Could Talk.
Oh,
Native Son. What does that say?
Beale Street, yeah.
The Stagger Girl. Captive State. That would look pretty good.
There's a lot of kind of like modern popular ones then.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like your villains, essentially. Actually, yeah. In terms of your villains, you've got... Oh, what was his name?
Which one?
My Dick, or whatever we called it.
My Dick. Oh.
Merrick.
Harry Melling.
What was he in? I recognise his face so much.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember what it is either. He's just got a very
Holy
remarkable face.
Shit. You will definitely know who he is.
Yeah.
Does it help? He's been in a couple of things recently.
Okay.
He was in Harry Potter.
He was in Harry Potter?
He was in all the Harry Potters.
What?
He was in every single Harry Potter. Any ideas? He wasn't a teacher. He wasn't a wizard.
He wasn't a wizard?
He wasn't a wizard.
Was he a ghost?
Nope.
Every single one? I don't have a clue.
He played Dudley.
Oh my god, he did, didn't he?
Yep.
He has slimmed down.
Yeah, slimmed
lots.
the fuck down.
Wow.
Jesus.
Dudley Dursley.
Yep.
That's crazy.
But other than that...
It's the eyes.
Yeah.
The eyes don't leave you.
His Dark Materials, The War of the Worlds, the 2019 one.
Yeah.
Just seems to be mostly smallish parts. Yeah.
Okay.
It was really cool.
That makes a lot of sense. And then you've got, I suppose, another villain, really. I can't remember his name. The dude from Doctor Strange.
Copley.
Copley?
Copley, yeah.
I don't remember his name being said all that much.
They mention it a couple of times.
Yeah, he is within the first 5 minutes of the film introduced as well.
He's an ex-CIA man who speaks with a British accent. Cause
yeah.
Why not?
He moved to London
Yeah.
3 months after he's born, according to him.
Something like that, yeah.
And that's the guy from...
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Chiwetel Ejiofor, of course it is. Yeah, from 12 Years a Slave.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I should have known that. I recognised his face and went, Doctor Strange, and didn't recognise him for anything else. Brilliant. It's a good cast, though.
Very good, yeah.
Very well acted as well. There were parts that I thought, and I said to you during it felt a little bit wooden at the start.
Yeah, but I think that was on purpose.
It would make a lot of sense.
I think they were trying to go for a sort of like, the ancient badass who only speaks in 1 or 2 words. Which, it does come across as a bit wooden, but they're all really good actors.
Oh, yeah. They pick up steam as well, quickly. They're sick. They were very good. And special props as well to Kiki Lane. Yeah. Really good. Especially for the first film I've actually seen her in. Yeah. She was awesome.
I'd argue emotional heart of the film.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, without a doubt.
She was a new member, she turned up, joined this old crew, saved them.
Drew me in as well. Didn't really like her at the start, honestly.
Really?
She kind of annoyed me a bit. Don't know why.
She does start off as this sort of like, I don't believe you. It's all a lie, and I'm military. I don't believe you. I'm going home. But eventually, she does warm to her kidnappers.
Yeah, I suppose so.
They kidnap her.
I guess
and they shoot her multiple times.
That is true.
And they break all of her bones at one point.
And that is a tease for the film.
Indeed.
That is the best tease you could give.
It's a good film.
Before we do get into spoilers, though, would you recommend it?
Yes.
Yeah?
Definitely. Maybe not for kids, but as long as you've got... As long as you want to watch an interesting story with some damn good action, and as long as you've got a fairly tough stomach, I'd watch it.
Yeah, there's a lot of questionable gore, isn't there? Yeah. Oh, it's a bit brutal.
They've got their permission to do things, and they're going to fucking do it.
Yeah, you are not wrong. I would recommend it as well. I thought it was very good. Great if... It's quite genre-bending in a bit of a way. Yeah. I am pessimistically not a big action film fan.
Really?
Because I think modern action films get unbelievably repetitive.
Yeah.
And especially kind of like Netflix films, their action films are poor.
Yeah.
And so I did kind of go into it being like, it's got a new element, but it may be bad. Yeah. And I was very, very happily impressed.
Yeah, it was very good.
It was really good. Spoilers. Right, starting off with the actual old guard, how they work, how they live.
Yeah, the film explains a surprising amount over the course of the time.
Yeah, it's expositional without being shoved down your throat as well.
Yeah, because every time I'd have a question, 10 minutes later they'd answer it, usually in some fairly roundabout way, actually.
Yeah, that is true. It almost answered it a few minutes after we'd asked.
Actually, it was almost perfect. Because near the beginning, they get shot to fuck.
Yeah.
They walk into a room, which is just an ambush, and then 20 dudes fill them with lead.
Oh, yeah.
And then I ask you, what happens to the bullets? And then immediately, a bullet falls on the floor. They get pushed out.
And it is gruesome as fuck.
This film is gnarly as fuck.
It's so metal.
It's brilliant.
Literally, it's just 4 corpses laying on the floor. They suddenly become reanimated, and there's just metal, sliding out of their skulls.
They're in immense pain as they just stand up and just fight back.
Oh, yeah, it's horrific.
It is. But it keeps going like that. It's, what happens if they were caught underwater? Well, this is one of the characters stuck underwater.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What happens if they, lose...
Get hung?
What happens if they get hung? Yeah, they get hung. They keep on coming back.
Yeah.
What happens if part of them gets blown off? Well, it just regrows, and it's very slow and very painful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it really does not ease off on the pain element. You are forced to feel the pain. Yeah. There is a particular scene where Booker gets hit with a grenade.
Yeah.
And his stomach is out.
Just open.
Yeah. And you see it while the scene is happening,
just slowly pull himself back together as he's just slowly just going in immense pain, wishing for death. is going, "Oh Jesus, it's painful," and they just have a little conversation. Like,
It's horrible.
what happened? Well, I just scream every so often.
I feel like really as well. That's what the film is about. That's its kind of like undertone.
Yeah,
It's less about these characters can't die and more about, well, these characters can live forever, and a lot more about these characters cannot feel death, but they just feel pain.
Yeah,
and so they're just suffering constantly.
Yeah.
It's really really visceral and really emotive.
Yeah.
Because you're just kind of sucked into their lives of just sadness.
I'd argue that the first proper fight is just after the ambush.
Yeah.
But the second proper fight between Andy and Niall
Yeah.
is on a plane. And it starts off pretty simple, few cuts, a few blocks and fights, and then they like break each other's fingers.
Oh god, yeah.
And they just start to like just break legs.
Yeah, and you see the bone
them
coming out.
Oh.
And it's really it doesn't hold back.
Yeah.
Like even when you're meant to have like essentially two comrades fighting,
Yeah.
they batter the shit out of each other because they know they can come back from it.
It is fucking horrific.
It is brutal. In a really good way though. Not even in like
100%.
it's a bit gruesome to watch at times. There are parts that are very, very horrible. But it's really compelling because of that. And I feel like that carries the action scenes a lot of the time as well.
You know what I was just thinking of?
Mhm.
This film and Deadpool.
Yeah.
In Deadpool, he has basically the same power.
Yeah.
He can get ripped to shreds and he'll come back. This film did it so much better.
It really did.
Because Deadpool, he'll be joking and laughing, and occasionally he'll be like, "Ow, this hurts." But it never seems painful. It just seems like, he got his arm torn off. Ha ha ha. It's so funny. But in this, it is horrific.
Yeah.
Every single time.
I think they really underplay it in Deadpool because it's comedic, I suppose.
It's a comedy.
But yeah, this is so dark in its like representation of it.
Yeah.
And it's not like the film isn't funny.
The film has some pretty good moments.
It's got some very funny like moments in it. Oh, well, that was a horrible burp.
That was silly.
Yeah. Rundown of the characters, in a sense.
They seem fairly standard.
Yeah.
But they do get a lot deeper as you learn more about them.
I was thinking that, because along with the kind of wooden acting at the start, it wasn't even really wooden. It just felt a bit...
It was just a bit...
I don't know, unfriendly?
Yeah, a bit standoffish.
Yeah, kind of. And so that, it made the characters feel a bit strange with that rapport. But the further the film goes on, you obviously find out their connections. You realise they've lived thousands of years together. And it all makes a lot of sense.
Andy is the longest lived of all of them. Longest lived, I think, that we know of.
Yeah, I believe so.
Because she does have an old friend who dies.
Yeah.
Or is dead. And she said, like, "Oh yeah, I was alive before that."
Yeah, she said she's like struggled by herself for years.
Yeah. And she is the grizzled badass with, I've lost someone close to me, so I don't allow myself to feel anymore.
Yeah.
But she is very old.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, literally thousands of years.
Yeah.
And then you've got Booker, who also has suffered alone.
Yeah, he starts off as just the tech guy.
Yeah, he kind of is,
seems
isn't
to
he?
understand a lot of, like, modern technology. He's got the computer, he's the hacker.
He, like, sets up the meetings with the CIA and stuff like that. He's that kind of dude.
But and then you find out his 3 kids, like, he had 3 sons.
Yeah.
And the last, like, the youngest son died of cancer at, like, 43.
Yeah. And he sat by his bed with his son, like, resenting him. Because he couldn't understand why his dad hadn't aged.
Yeah.
And was living when everyone else had to suffer. And it's so brutal.
Yeah. And then Joe and Nikki are sort of... They start off seeming as just a sort of, battle brothers. They started off as enemies, but then they grew to understand each other and fight together. And it turns out that they are literally the embodiment of love.
Oh, yeah. They are like star-crossed lovers to 1,000 degrees.
Yeah, they're not... There's literally a scene where they're in a van and some dude's like, "Oh, what is he, your boyfriend?" And I want to say it's Joe goes off on this, like, 5-minute speech of, "No, he's not my boyfriend. he is my fucking soulmate.
Yeah.
This man means more to me than anyone will ever mean to you.
It's like we've lived more lives than you will ever experience and stayed together through that. Like it's so so heartfelt.
And then they make out, and then everyone in the van just looks really awkward, and then just pulls them apart and starts yelling.
It seems almost rude to stop them kissing after that moment.
They're the best.
They're cool, and they met in a crusade by killing each other.
Yeah,
it's great. They're underplayed characters.
They're brilliant.
They've got so much potential.
Yeah.
Their like romance and just general connection comes into play a lot more in like the end as well.
Yeah,
because they're so willing. Obviously, they can't die, but they're so willing to give themselves for like the other one.
They would be 100% willing to die if they could.
It's fantastic.
Mm.
And then you've got I fucking forgot her name. Niall. So
the new one.
Yeah. So in the US Army, we see her near the start of the film.
Yeah.
She is in a covert operation trying to find.
I think it's just like a occupation of a village.
Yeah, I think so.
She's seen as like she's one of the good ones.
Yeah, she's one of the good army dudes.
She's not, instead of yelling at people and beating women, she's handing out chocolate to kids and
chilling with the ladies.
And
I think they're after a terrorist.
They're after a bomb maker.
Yeah,
I think, and they do eventually find him.
Yeah,
he tries shooting a couple of them. She busts in, shoots him, and he slits her throat.
He does in a very grotesque manner.
Yeah.
And
then she lies bleeds out and dies on the floor.
Yeah, with her
comrade's arms.
Yeah, it is really quite dark.
Yeah.
I didn't particularly get the context when it was happening either, because I was like, this seems so unrelated to what's happening.
Really?
Well, yeah, no,
obvious.
No, I thought it was just like, well, I got what was happening, but I was like, this is irrelevant. I didn't think it was going to come into play until then you get the main four have a premonition about this happening.
They sort of have a dream of each other.
Yeah.
Because they're drawn to each other or something like that.
Yeah, essentially so. And then they track her down, essentially force her to join the team, and she accepts after a lot of dispute and a lot of coming to terms with things, as you would be if you found out you're immortal, reluctantly joins the group.
Yeah.
And it's explained to her that there were 2 past members.
Yeah, 2 that we know of at least.
Yeah, you've got one, I don't know if he was named.
Was in the credits, but I can't... I think it was Lycon.
Okay, they said he was like the warrior that fought with
he was
Andy.
He was an ancient warrior, truly. I think they say like he was older than fucking what's face?
Andy.
Yeah.
But you see him die.
Yeah.
And it's explained that the immortality isn't actually immortality.
Yeah.
It's a healing factor that eventually runs out. Yeah. And that was quite a twist. It was a cool twist as well.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think is probably more explained in the graphic novel again.
Yeah.
How that works. And you're also introduced to... Andy's...
Here somewhere.
The first person, I believe, that Andy met with the same power as her.
Yeah.
And they were both tried as witches.
Yeah. Quinn?
Quinn.
Q-U-Y-N-H. Quinn.
I think so, yeah. That sounds about right.
Quinn, who... Yeah, they were tried as witches and they were hung. They were, like, fucking tortured.
Yeah.
And they thought that they were going to be burnt at the stake.
Mm-hmm.
And they're being themselves like, oh, it's going to suck, but me and you will get through this together. And then Quinn's thrown in what's basically an Iron Maiden.
Oh, God, yeah.
And tossed to the bottom of the sea.
You see her dragged away in this metal casing and dropped in the ocean.
And it's just the look on their faces of, they know that they can't die.
Yeah.
And so when they're expecting to be burned, they're like, oh, don't worry, we'll get through it. And they're like almost smiling. And then they open the door, you see the Iron Maiden, and they just drop. Yeah. Like they're like, oh no, shit. No, this we can't get out of.
It's kind of heartbreaking as well. It's really touching.
And she is for however many years, like 500 years.
Yeah.
At the bottom of the sea, in the middle of nowhere, drowning, then coming back to life, then drowning.
Perpetually.
Yeah.
Until her power runs out, essentially.
Supposedly, yeah. But, and if it will, who knows?
Yeah, it's really horrible. And Andy feels the guilt of that.
Yeah,
which is why she's such a hardened dick, basically.
Yeah.
It's really brutal.
Yeah. No, there is one more character.
Yeah?
Fucking Cowley. Fucking Talking Slave Dude.
Yes, yeah. Chiwetel.
Yeah. He is ex-CIA and all that. And the reason... I don't know if I consider him a villain. Because we're doing spoilers, so it doesn't...
Oh, yeah.
He is discovered to be... He doesn't want their immortality for money. He literally just thinks that these 4 people have done so much good for the world.
Yeah.
Imagine if we had, like, more of them. Imagine if we could cure diseases. Like, how great would that be?
And it all stems from the fact his wife died suffering.
His wife died of something.
Yeah, I don't know if it's explained.
It was some sort of horrific disease.
Yeah.
Because he's like, yeah, her skin was peeling off. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't speak. She died in agony.
Yeah, it was really horrible.
That's why I'm doing what I am.
It seems like every single character has gone through like a really bad death.
Yeah.
Like in the family. Or like or
Pretty
friends.
much.
It's such a brutal film.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's your that's the old guard. That's the team, essentially. And then obviously Chiwetel's character.
Yeah.
Essentially, the plot of them moving away and trying to hide, because it's the modern day, is what it centres around. Now there's cameras.
Do their best. Yeah, they do their best to stay hidden, because if someone discovers, hey, this person can live forever, they're going to assume that they're a witch and kill them, or they're going to put them in a cage and kill them.
Yeah.
Or they're just not going to have a good time.
Very true.
So they try and stay hidden, but now they can't.
Pretty much.
The whole point.
Yeah. And unfortunately for them, they are captured.
Yeah.
It starts off with Nikki and Joe.
Yep.
They're taken when there's essentially a house invasion.
Yeah, they're in their safe house at church in France.
Yeah.
And the bad guys invade and blow up Booker.
Oh, yeah.
And kidnap everyone else.
Yeah. And that's essentially not really the end of Joe and Nikki, but that's them stuck in the hospital.
They're not a driving force in the plot. For a minute.
And so from that point on, it is the 3 characters trying to save them and get to that point. Which is interesting, because you had a suspicion about Booker.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Because when he explains his tragic backstory, he mentions that his kid had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And previously, the main villain mentioned, oh yeah, a few years ago we found something that can cure cancer. Well, he says he found a cancer pill or something.
Yeah. He experimented on rats and got a cancer pill.
Somehow.
It's pretty dark. He's just a bit of a dick. He's not a very great villain.
No, he is just sort of a big bad at the end. He's not even that tough. He's
kind of just a placeholder, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's literally just like Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, but pharmaceutical.
Yeah, he's just an arse, wants to exploit everyone for money because he knows he can get it.
Yeah, but sometimes you need that in a film.
Yeah, he's a plot device,
actually,
really.
That's a good point. There are at least 5 characters with incredibly deep and interesting backstories.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if halfway through the film he was just suddenly like, no, you don't understand. I'm also a tragic villain.
Yeah,
sympathise
that's true.
with me. I was a good guy No.
I didn't mind that he was just a dick. I think it works.
Especially in a film like this, just a straightforward bastard villain is a really good thing.
Yeah, it's something to really root against as well, because there is no kind of redeeming factor. He's just a prick. There are a number of action scenes in this that are really cool as well.
Yeah.
So, obviously,
them down from what we remember.
The first one is when they just get mowed down.
The first one, they get mowed down, get back up, and do some killing.
Yeah. When the battle axe is introduced as well. Oh, that's cool.
It is. I have one problem with it.
Yeah.
In that is the lighting.
Okay.
Which both works really well and doesn't at the same time. Because it's all lit from spotlights on one end of the room. So half the time, characters have like this shining light, and so you can see just like only the important parts. You only see the face, the fist, the axe, whatever. But the other half of the time, it's all pitch black. which always makes action kind of difficult to follow, a bit confusing.
Yeah,
Who's
it's
doing
almost like
what?
smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
So
But
because
they
you can't
don't-
see it.
That's the only time they do it in this movie.
That is true. The rest are all really well lit.
Yeah.
And to good effect as well. The battle axe, she also just kind of whips out mid-battle.
Yeah. She just decides, I'm using this now.
Literally bringing a knife to a gunfight,
Yeah.
but in the coolest way possible as well.
But to be fair, I'd do that.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically playing a video game.
Well, yeah, if you can't die, why not?
Yeah.
It's pretty sick.
I'm out of ammo, time to switch to my axe.
But essentially, everyone is just mowed down in the most brutal way everywhere.
Yeah, it's a goon fight. Fight
Yeah.
goons, show what you can do.
And it's a good intro to the film as well.
Yeah.
It shows what they're doing. Then you've got your hand-to-hand combat fight in the plane.
Indeed, the plane fight.
Andy and Niall.
Indeed, they just...
Horrible.
Yeah.
So...
They break each other.
Oh, it's the arm and the leg snap that really
Yeah.
got me.
Yeah.
Oh, and you just see her heal from it as well. It's not nice.
Which, a very good display of how well trained both of these people are.
Yeah.
Showing that they're both pretty damn good. Andy's better. And the extent of their powers.
Yeah.
During the fight, they're not going to be much use because they just make you weaker.
Yeah.
But you'll get better eventually.
It's also really good CGI.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like rubbery or anything.
Yeah.
It looks quite
I think it's because...
natural? Yeah.
Yeah, it's because it's in the background. Other than, like, during the beginning when they're spitting out bullets,
Oh, yeah.
it's always like, they never have a close-up of the arm and then just magic healing happens.
That's true.
It's always just sort of like, in the corner, someone will look at it and go, oh.
Or it's like a
getting
very
better.
subtle insert
Yeah.
where it'll just be like, oh, it's healed up, and then you just carry on.
Yeah.
It's good to go.
How you do it properly.
Yeah, pretty much. You've got the fight scene at the church.
Church scene.
So that is just after
That's Andy...
book has been exploded, essentially.
Yeah. So that's Andy just kicking so much ass.
Oh, God, yeah.
And when we find out that she has lost her immortality,
Yes.
she is now as human as the rest of us,
Yeah.
except with thousands of years of combat training.
Oh, yeah, literally. She is still the coolest person on Earth,
Yeah.
but can now get shot.
Yeah.
And you get a really weird scene with just an emo girl in a pharmacy.
Yeah. Well, that was...
I assume it was meant to be like a show like a human side.
Yeah. Well, that's the point, because she's now... It's really weird, because she looks so almost embarrassed.
Yeah.
She's in a pharmacy, and she's like, oh, I need to buy bandages.
Mm.
And she's just like, which ones? These and that, and... Okay. 'Cause she's
And-
no idea what she's doing.
Oh, yeah, because she's got her whole life just fixing.
Yeah. And there's a scene where she's like, oh, do you have a bathroom? And the clerk's like, no, we don't. We do have a storeroom, though. And within context, yeah, she's using the bathroom to, like, heal her wounds.
Yeah.
But what if she just needed a piss? Can you imagine walking into a shop? Oh, hey, do you have a toilet in the back? No, we've got a storeroom, though. Well, I need a shit, guys.
I think it would be funnier if she just went in there and pissed, and then the emo girl followed her, being like, "I'm going to heal your wounds," and there's just
Yeah,
a
and just
pile
like-
of piss on the floor.
You misunderstand the situation, my dear. But no, it's a nice scene because they're like, oh, I would have used stitches. And Andy's like,
Yeah.
why haven't you haven't asked what happened? And the girl is like, it's not my place.
Yeah.
What happens to you is your business, but me helping you means that tomorrow you'll help someone else.
And it's almost representative of
The more human side of what they're doing.
Yeah, and the later part in the film where we kind of find out that through every action that they've done in terms of saving people, it's had a ripple effect on saving hundreds of others.
Yeah, they've like saved kids who go on to be philanthropic billionaires or curing diseases.
It adds like a bit of depth to it as well, I suppose. You're
Yeah.
not just saving one person, you're saving a person to save someone else, and it's like
Yeah,
it does carry on. It brings back her
yeah.
humanity.
Which is really good.
Oh yeah, it's well cool.
What happens after that? They go to it's not really a fight. The attack on the house.
Attack on the house,
Where
yeah.
which is where we find out that Booker is in fact a bad guy.
Yeah.
Because Niall gets cold feet wants to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And Andy's like, yeah, all right, swap guns. So they swap guns, she goes home. And Niall finds out that the gun that Andy had was empty. And it was a gun that Booker had given her.
And you called it.
I did.
I was impressed.
I know what I'm talking about.
You do.
Sometimes. And then, so yeah, Booker is a nasty man. He betrays them. And then he sort of like decides, hang on, no, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, he was trying to like, I guess he had good intentions, but he did it in such a bad way.
He was same as a CIA guy.
Yeah.
What he was trying to do was make sure that no one went through what he went through.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. But the way that the villain was doing it was just, no, I want to make money. Fuck you guys.
Which is why he was a good villain.
Yeah.
However, you do have to consider Booker. You're going to get experimented on as well.
Yeah.
Like, you are just putting yourself under the knife.
Yeah.
It was quite a questionable move.
I don't think he thought it through.
Oh, no, I don't think so at all.
But
it was cool.
Yeah, well. And then Niall turns up, shoots herself in the foot, literally,
yes.
to prove that she is also a super healer. And then CIA man helps her find the building.
Yeah, and they have a badass shootout in the lab.
Indeed.
It's very cool.
It's quite fun because she's got the battle axe in her guitar case.
Yes.
Basically. And she just gets out of an elevator, walks around the corner into a bunch of guards.
She was like, oh, sorry.
What are you doing here? Oh, I'm lost. No. What's that behind your hand? She slowly pulls out a submachine gun and gets shot. And she just fucking drops to the floor.
Does she die multiple times in that fight scene? She definitely gets shot a lot.
She gets shot a lot. That's the only time she dies, I think.
Yeah.
All the other ones are like taking a bullet but still going. And
yeah, but she attacks the guards.
Yeah, she fights her way into the lab where the others are being held.
Drops the battle axe brilliantly.
Unfortunately.
Which ends up with Merrick.
Yeah.
The nerdiest, weediest little guy holding a giant battle axe. Is quite amusing.
He looks so uncomfortable.
Oh, he does. He looks like he hates it. Yeah. And she rescues the gang, essentially.
Yeah.
And they all find out Andy can't heal anymore. So they just make a human barrier around her.
Basically.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
They're all just taking bullets.
Yeah. And then they decide to go and kill Marek for just revenge reasons, I think.
Pretty much.
They have no personal beef with him.
There's a point where they say, like, if we don't kill him now, then he'll just get away. So they're like, well, yeah, fuck it.
Let's kill him now, while we're here.
Yeah.
While we're in the neighbourhood, pick up some greens, go see the farmer's market.
Kill Merrick. Yeah, easy.
Why not?
How would you describe his death? I would say gnarly.
Badass.
It was so sick.
They do a little callback where I want to say it's Niall shoots or pretends to shoot Andy.
Yes.
Startling Marek, who then shoots Niall.
Yep.
And then
a bit of a callback from the plane scene earlier.
Indeed. Because they don't speak Russian.
Indeed.
Or something. And so they hit him in the neck with the battle axe.
Yes.
Oh, and then, because he still has the gun, he tries to shoot Andy. Niall gets in the way and tackles him out of an open window.
It's so cool.
And then they just crash into this car.
Oh, they plummet.
They fucking die.
And you don't actually see Merrick from that point, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's just because he was just red mist at that point.
Oh, yeah.
He definitely died.
Oh, yeah. But then you do get to see Niall's broken body.
Corpse.
Oh, and her fingers are all twisted and mangled.
And then she just lifts up her hands and they all just fix themselves. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm doing alright.
It is grotesque.
Where are we going, guys? Pub?
Yeah, they go to the pub. That is the most British thing.
I love it. It's funny that none of them are British.
No, they're not. It's a really nice, resolve to the story as well. I mean, it's very play-by-play.
Oh, yeah.
You can essentially just see it coming. Doesn't mean it's bad.
Mm.
It was really good. There was really good action.
Yeah.
And seeing Merrick die that way was really satisfying.
Yeah.
Because he's such a bastard.
He was a bastard. He was a great villain, but he was not a good character.
Nah.
If that makes sense.
I know exactly what you mean.
He
was a great dick, but not like a well-developed dick.
He was, I don't know if this is a term, I'm going to coin this term, the villain MacGuffin.
Oh. Oh.
He could have been replaced by Hitler or Sauron. Well, maybe not Sauron, he was actually kind of important. The whole point is, he could have been replaced by any, like, cookie-cutter, just bad guy.
Yeah.
And not a lot would have changed.
I agree. He's a placeholder, really, isn't he?
But
He's
that's
plot
not
device.
a bad thing.
It needs to be done. It's a plot. It's a film. It sometimes needs to be done.
Oh, yeah. And besides, seeing a man get tackled out of a penthouse suite onto a car...
Oh, yeah.
Pretty badass.
It was so cool.
The one shot that they cut away from...
Yeah.
It's when Joey and Nico are fighting...
Oh, my God,
Joe and Nikki.
Joey and Nico.
Nico, my cousin.
Joey.
It's Joey Wheeler and Nico Pellic.
Jesus, the anime crossover.
But yeah, they're fighting
I can't remember his
henchman.
name. He's meant to be the ex-Special Forces guy, right?
He's ex-Special Forces. He's a big old badass.
Yeah.
And he fucking... I want to say he caps Nico. But
Yes.
he shoves his pistol
Oh, God, it's horrible.
into Nico's mouth. And you don't actually see it.
You just see
But
Joey's
you just hear a
face.
fucking bullet.
Mm.
And it is somehow one of the gnarliest things, despite you never see it. And I fucking love that.
It was horrible to watch in the best way. Our main characters go to a pub
They do.
following that big old fight.
What else are you going to do?
You're not wrong.
No,
How do you
not at
cool
that
off
point.
that way?
Yeah,
It's a very
And-
posh pub as well.
it is.
Very London-esque.
Indeed. And that's when they...
I thought they were in
Yeah.
Surrey as well.
No, they're in London.
Okay. Maybe they were in Surrey earlier.
Surrey was when they were doing their little attack on the house.
You are right.
And then, yeah, London is where the penthouse is. And so they're at the pub, and they just sort of... That's when they decide what to do with Booker.
Yes.
And so Niall goes out and has a chat with him because she doesn't know any of them.
Mm-hmm.
She was just hired help at that point. And they decide... Their ending decision is that 100 years from that point, they will meet where they were, and he's allowed back to join them.
Yeah. It's a very harsh punishment.
Which is, yeah. And he even says, like, I was hoping for less, but I expected more.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, you can't... There's no physical punishment you can give him.
No, I
You
mean,
can
he's
punch- yeah.
literally been through everything. They all
You
have.
could punch him through the mouth, you can shoot him in the head, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can literally do anything, and it won't matter.
That's a really, like, emotional, painful way to punish him as well.
I think it works because, like, they could always, like, oh, we're going to tie you up in a basement. Torture methods. And then you can join us. Or you have to pay us this much, do this, do that. But no, it's just, right, we're going to leave you alone.
It keeps them the good guys as well, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, they don't do anything horrid to him. He's
He's just
left.
there.
That's the film.
Yeah.
Nothing else happens at all.
Well,
No other... nothing else.
I would say as well before we get into
The
just the ending.
Mm.
That one scene where Andy speaks to him and he's like, "I'll never see you again,"
Yeah.
and she's like, "Have hope" or something.
Yeah.
I was like, "That's brutal," but that's sequel bait right there.
Yeah.
And I made a little joke about it because they all walk away like
As a team and...
as a team
And they
up
go-
the
They go
stairs.
see Mr. CIA,
Yeah.
and they're like, right, we don't want anyone to know who we are. You've discovered all this information about us, all of this cool shit we've done in the past. You have to delete it all.
Mm-hmm.
And every time we leave any sort of digital footprint, you delete it. And he's like, fuck yeah, guys, I'm in.
Yeah, he's like, sick, I'm
And
down.
He's just a fanboy at that point.
He really is. I
just-
really like his character
I
arc
love
as well.
him.
He's such a cool guy.
Yeah.
But that's like the ending of the film, and I was a little bit like, it's a bit sequel baity,
Yeah.
but it's a happy ending. It's kind of cool.
I don't think that the line of like, "Oh, have hope" is sequel bait.
I thought it was just
I
a bit.
think it's supposed to be more of like a, well, yeah, you're not allowed to like join our group for the next 100 years.
But maybe I'll live.
Well, no, but in 20 years, if our paths cross, they're not going to like just turn their heels and walk away, are they?
Yeah, that's true. That's a fair point.
So it's sort of like you're not allowed to see us. We're not supposed to, but if we meet, we'll still talk.
Yeah, that's a nicer way to
Yeah,
think about
I think it
it.
was more of a nice sentiment. than give us your money in the future.
Yeah, that's very true. And then you get...
The actual sequel bait.
Yeah, it just says the old guard, ... And then it says 6 months later. And that got me, I was like, oh, very sneaky.
And he's in France. Booker's a washed up alcoholic.
Oh, yeah, he's in a rough state.
And he finds that there's someone in his house. And he kicks down the door, pulls out a gun, and they're just like, oh, it's good to see you. And it's fucking... Quinn, the girl who was locked in a iron coffin for years.
Yeah. It pulled me in. It suckered me, I won't lie. It really got me.
I want to know exactly what happens next.
Yeah, exactly. And it threw my theory out the window as well.
Yeah.
When we were talking during the film, I was like, well, maybe Quinn has died at the bottom of the ocean, and that's why
she's still... Oh, that's why Niles...
Yeah, that's why Niles just kind of got the same power. Maybe it does pass on. But yeah, out the window. In the best way possible. Really good.
Yeah.
There's one more thing I want to talk about before we get into a rating.
What's that?
The sound effects and the music.
Yes.
It's only a minor detail, but the actual score of the film was pretty good. No, the actual score was pretty good. Yeah.
The soundtrack.
The soundtrack was really weird. It was really jarring.
Yeah, having this sort of there were some scenes that just had Middle Eastern trap music underneath.
Yeah.
And just sort of
in I suppose it's a fantasy neo-crime kind of film.
Yeah.
They just chuck in a Khalid track at the end, which is just a pop song. And then there's just some really offbeat kind of, I don't know, bubblegum pop kind of, during fight scenes.
Yeah.
It feels very disjointed.
It doesn't. It seems like for each fight or each section, they were like, "Oh man, what would be a cool song to play over this? I know this one. Oh, it doesn't really fit the tone. No, it works. It's great. Put it in."
It feels like someone's just gone through their library and been like, "This one's cool though."
Yeah,
pretty much. I would say that's probably one of my. I'd say that's the only big kind of gripe I have with the film, because the rest of it I really liked.
Yeah,
thought it was really cool.
All right.
In terms of a rating,
indeed.
How would you rate The Old Guard from 0 years to 2,000 years?
That's a very good question. I don't know a lot about history, or at least not recent history, because I don't want to say, oh yeah, 100, because 100 BC, cool shit happened. That's a bit dark. 1749 was a good year.
Was it?
Yeah. There was a great Chardonnay made.
Okay.
It's fucking lush, dude. Slight hint of hazelnut. Because of the past year's crops, how it been grown.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's mad that you remember that far back as well.
I don't think Chardonnay existed back then.
It might have.
It didn't.
It probably did a while ago.
It did, but not in its current form. Definitely not.
No.
It was just wine at that point.
Oh, that's my fun. Did you hear that?
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I know.
Lovely.
I'm going to give The Old Guard a 1664.
What happened in 1664, Dan?
That's when the beer Kronenberg was made.
Really?
Yeah. Kronenberg 1664.
Oh, yeah.
It's a nice beer.
Fair enough.
Nice film.
Yeah.
Goes down smoothly. Nice with a bit of ice.
Yeah.
I'd happily share one with Charlie's Theron.
I mean, yeah, but that can be the same as... You can say that about anything.
Yeah.
Like a long car journey.
I don't think I'd enjoy a long car journey with Charlize Theron.
Really?
Well, I think she'd be very interesting to talk to you, but I don't think I could live up to her standards.
Oh, definitely not. But she seems like a really interesting conversationalist.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I feel like it would be nice from my point of view, but I feel bad for her.
Alright, what about a medium-length car journey?
What are we talking medium?
Hour and a half, 2 hours.
Hours medium for you?
Well, yeah. 3 hours is a long car journey.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Half an hour's shortish.
I could go for a half an hour.
Half an hour.
Yeah.
You can share half an hour car journey with Charlize Theron.
I would rate this film a half an hour car journey with Charlize Theron.
Fair enough. If we're talking about things we'd share with Charlize Theron, how about a good meal? That'd be nice.
What kind of meal?
Thinking crab al dente.
Ooh.
And maybe a nice Chardonnay to go with it.
Nice Chardonnay?
Yeah, and then after that we could share a relaxing evening, a walk on the beach perhaps.
Oh. I thought you were going to go for something a little more
I was thinking of like...
above board.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't think you were going to stoop that low.
How long did you expect me to go on with that bit for?
I really don't know. I was waiting for a punchline, to be fair.
I was thinking of like my shorts maybe, but that doesn't really...
You could eat my shorts.
Yeah! No!
You're pulling out a Bart Simpson reference in 2020.
Yeah.
Jesus
Christ.
Right, we're almost at an hour, so it seems about a good time to wrap it up. That was the longest charade we've been on trying to rate a film.
Probably.
I feel like from this point on, instead of actually rating, we should just try and distract our listeners enough.
Make jokes.
Yeah, and just move straight on before they realise we haven't rated the film because I can't do ratings.
Like how we did with today's drink.
Oh, I was going to cut it back. I was going to cut it
Too bad.
in.
Fuck your plans,
Jesus. Boy. Right, yeah, okay. Very good time to wrap up.
Indeed.
Thank you again for listening. If this is your first time here, we would really appreciate it if you could give us a little rate on iTunes or whatever podcast platform you're using. If you are using it on iTunes, you can rate in-app, so easy enough. You can give us a 5-star if you feel we deserve a 5-star, but honestly, rate us what you feel we deserve. Unless it's 1-star, because that's a bit rude.
A little bit. Might as well just not leave a rating.
Yeah.
Don't rate us.
No, do rate us, because
rate us.
Yeah, it boosts the podcast.
A-rate us.
Sorry?
A-rate us.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I want to make the joke of next of B-rate us, you bitch.
Very clever. That's what our listeners tune in for.
Yeah.
That knife-sharp wit there. Jesus. Thank you again for listening, though. Do tune in next week. We're going to be covering a kids' film again because we intersperse the adult kids ones. So we got a little bit of knowledge when it comes to adults, a little bit of stupidness when it comes to kids.
Indeed.
We cover all bases, don't we?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, we hope to anyway. You can contact us at dananddanpod@gmail.com if, for example, you'd like to ask us any questions, you'd like to tell us how much you don't like our voices, or sponsor us, perhaps, mayhaps.
Maybe.
That would be lovely. On Twitter, we are DNDPod1, and on Instagram, we are... Oh, we're not D&D, are we? We're DNDND Pod 1.
I was very confused, yeah.
Bloody hell. And on Instagram, we are DNDND Podcast.
You might want to redo all of those, because we're not D&D Pod on Gmail, are we?
No, we're Dan and Dan.
I thought we were D&D on Pod.
No, we're Dan and Dan Pod... Jesus.
Are we?
Try and find us. Thanks for listening.
Fucking lie.
See you later.